Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the session. This is M. Komala Devi, KGVV Gangavaram, Chitturu District, AP. Today, we are going to discuss about the national movement in the early phase during the period 1885 to 1919. So, all of you might have aware of this national movement. The objective of this national movement is seeking the independence of India from Great Britain. So the history of Indian national movement, it can be divided into three phases. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the first two phases. Those are nothing but early nationalist phase during the period 1885 to 1905. And the second one is assertive phase 1905 to 1918 and Gandhian era during the 1990 to 1947. So, in India, the national movement forms an important epoch in history. Epoch means that a particular period of time in the history. It helped to will the diverse people, means different kind of people and sections of society into one nation. All these sections came together and they not only fight against the British rule but also to build a new country. Means the objective of national movement is not only to fight against the British rule and to also build a new country. In most of these movements, people were themselves encouraged to take action. Dear students, in earlier classes, we read about the revolt of 1857, in which soldiers, ordinary peasants, artisans, and landlords, and even princes joined, joined the struggle against the British rule. While the movement was opposite to the British, it did not have any new vision of the country. It is, in fact, wanted to restore the rule of the old kings and queens and also the same caste based society. Means initially they did not have any vision of the country and they might need to wanted the same kind of old kings and queens caste based society. With the growth of English education during the late 19th century in major cities like Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay, a new consciousness began to develop. All the intellectuals of the time opposed to the inequalities and the injustice of the old social system. They wanted a democratic political order and they wanted at the same time to point out the exploitation and the injustice caused by the British rule and fight to end it. This was the beginning of the national movement in India. The seeds of the new consciousness began in the second half of the 19th century. All the educated Indians, after studying the nature of the British rule and its impact on India, became more and more critical of the British policies in India. And they began to get together and they discussed these issues and they also formed like associations. In 1866, Dadabhai Nauroji organized the East India Association in London to discuss the Indian question. So he is also has the name of the Great Old Man of India. During the period 1866 to 1885, various leaders like Surendranath Banerjee, Justice M.G. Ranade, and Badruddin Tyabji, and K.C. Telang, and G. Subramaniam organized the associations in Calcutta, Pune, Bombay, and Madras to discuss the problems faced by the Indians in those provinces. This association has nationalistic zeal and they try to unite the intellectuals. You can see the pictures of Surendranath Banerjee and Justice Mahadev Govind Ranade and Badruddin Tyabji. And you can see the picture of G. Subramaniam. Though many of these associations functions in the specific part of the country, their goals were stated as the goals of all the people of India, not those of any one region or community or any class. They worked with the idea that people should be sovereign, a modern consciousness and a key feature of nationalism. They worked with the idea that the people should be sovereign, a modern consciousness and a key feature of the nationalism. In other words, they believed that the Indian people should be empowered to take the decisions regarding their affairs. Many of these intellectuals also led campaigns against some British policies like taxes on textiles and racial discrimination against Indians and repressive laws against the Indian newspapers. They realized the importance of discussing the policies of the government and organizing the campaigns to change them. Then coming to the Indian National Congress during the modern phase, during the period 1885 to 1905, all these provincial nationalistic intellectuals came together in the first session of the Indian National Congress at Bombay in December 1885. It was presided over by W.C. Banerjee and attended by 72 delegates from different parts of India. You can see the pictures. He is the first president of Indian National Congress, W.C. Banerjee. This is the first Indian National Congress during the year 1885. The early leaders, Dadabhai Nauroji, Mehta and Badruddin Tabji, W.C. Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Ramesh Chandra Dutt, and S. Subramaniam Iyer, among others, were largely from Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta. A.O. Hume, a retired British official, also played an important role in establishing the Congress. The leaders of the Congress realized that the foremost task before them was to build the nationalist consciousness among the diverse people of India and unite them. At the same time, they realized, coming to the objective of Indian National Congress, at the same time, they realized that this unity could be built only by accommodating the special requirements of different regions and religious communities of India. So, coming to the first objective of Indian National Congress, they decided to hold the Congress sessions in different parts of the country every year and not to pass any resolution which was objected to by any one religious group. The second major objective of early Congress was to create a common political platform or program around which the political workers in different parts of the country could gather and they can conduct their political activities, educating and mobilizing people on an all India basis. This was to be accomplished by taking up those grievances and fighting for those rights which Indians had in common in relation to the rulers. And they studied the grievances of people and wrote appeals to the government, and they also used them to educate the people about their political rights. And coming to the third objective of Indian National Congress was to promote the democratic ideals and functioning in India. The Indian National Congress functioned democratically, discussing all issues and trying to evolve consensus or sometimes voting also. At this stage, INC, Indian National Congress, decided not to take up issues relating to social reform as it would divide the Indian people. Reform was to be carried on through different forums. In 1886, delegates to the Congress numbering 436 were elected by different local organizations and groups, indicating its popularity in 1 year. Hereafter, the National Congress met every year in December in different parts of the country. The number of delegates soon increased to thousands. Its delegates were mostly lawyers, journalists, traders, industrialists, teachers, and also landlords. There were very few women like Kadambari Ganguly, who was the first woman graduate from Calcutta. Mostly men from higher social background attended these sessions. So, students, here you can able to see the picture of Kadambari Ganguly and the 19th century doctor who broke the glass ceiling. Coming to the moderate nationalist, during the first 20 years, the Congress was led by the leaders who are known as moderate nationalists. The moderates urged the government to introduce a number of reforms, and they demanded a greater voice for Indians in the government and in administration. They demanded the Indians be placed in high positions in the government, and also they wanted a imperial legislative council to be made more representative and given more power and introduced in provinces where none existed. For this purpose, it is called for civil service examination to be held in India as well as not just in London. These are the demands of moderate nationalists. The demand for Indianization of the administration was part of the movement against the racism, and since most important jobs at the time were monopolized by the white Europeans, leaders like Nauroji, R.C. Dutt, and Ranade studied the economic impact of the British rule, and they concluded that the British were draining India of her wealth through taxes and other means and leaving her poorer and poorer. They drew the attention to the problems of poverty and famines and blamed it on the British policies of excessive land revenue and export of grains. The Congress passed the so many resolutions on the salt tax, treatment of Indian laborers abroad, and the sufferings of the forest dwellers caused by interfering forest administration. The early leaders were convinced of the need for national industrial development to end poverty in India. However, the British rule was standing in the way of development, as they not only were draining the wealth of India to England but also enabling the cheap selling of British goods in India and restraining the Indian crafts and industries. The moderate leaders reached out to the people in different parts of the country by holding the lectures, meetings, and tours. They believed that British were committed to freedom and justice and would accept the demands when expressed properly. They carried on their agitation through newspapers, public lectures. They passed the resolution and led deputation to submit the petitions to the government also. In short, it may be said that they adopted a policy of pray, petition, and protest. Often they were notable to pursue the government to change, but in the process formulated the Indian opinion on important issues. This was very important for the future growth of the Indian national movement. Coming to the Swadesi movement, during the period 1905 to 1920, with the start of Swadesi movement around the year 1902, the Indian national movement took a major leap forward. Women, students, and large section of the urban and rural population of Bengal and other parts of India became actively involved in politics for the first time. One trigger for this movement was proposal for partitioning of Bengal into East and West Bengal in 1903 by Curzon. The nationalists immediately saw this as a political act by the government to divide the Bengal people and also to weaken the national movement. Even the ordinary people of Bengal were enraged by this act and took to the streets to protest against it. There were massive protests, petitions, and campaigns but they were not heeded to, and the government partitioned Bengal in 1905. So on October 16th, 1905, a day the partition of Bengal went into effect, and it was observed in Bengal as a day of mourning. Throughout Bengal, no cooking was done, and shops and marketplaces were closed. And in Calcutta, a Hartal was declared. People took out the processions and they bathed in the Gangas in the morning, and they parade on the streets singing Vande Mataram. People tied Rakis on each other's hands as a symbol of unity of the two halves of the Bengal. Later in the day, Anand Mohan Bose and Surendranath Banerjee addressed the two mass meetings attended about 75,000 people. Several protest meetings were held and a call was given for boycotting English cloth and salt. There was a tremendous mass responses to this call. Boycott and public burning of foreign clothes and picketing of shops selling foreign goods became the common in remote corners of the Bengal and in many important towns and cities throughout the country. Women refused to wear the foreign bangles and use foreign utensils. Washermen refused to wash the foreign clothes, and even priests declined to offerings who contained the foreign sugar. The spontaneous unity of diverse social groups is the basis of nationalism. The early nationalists were successful in germinating it. There was also a call for boycott of all government institutions like schools, colleges, courts. People set up the Swadeshi schools and colleges and parallel courts in which they settled their mutual disputes. The idea was to refuse to cooperate with the government to run it and in this way undermine its position. The Swadeshi movement gave tremendous impetus to Indian industry. In fact, the beginnings were made in manufacturing of Swadeshi salt, sugar, matches, and other products on a large scale. So you can see the pictures of Swadeshi movement. The movement gave a stimulus to P.C. Ray Bengal Chemical Works and encouraged the Jamshedji Tata of Bombay to open his famous steel plant in Bihar. The movement also created tremendous demand for indigenous goods. The textile industry of India, in particular, received a great impetus from the Swadeshi movement. The moderate and the extremist. In the next Congress session, the extremist nationalists led by the Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Lala Lajpat Rai were in favor of extending the movement to the rest of the India and to demand for full-fledged freedom or Swaraj. Bal Gangadhar Tilak gave the famous slogan, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. Dear students, you can see the pictures of Lala Lajpat Rai and B.G. Tilak and Bipin Chandrapal and Annie Besant pictures here. They wanted to move away from the earlier strategy of submitting the petitions to government to mobilizing the masses against the British rule and forcing the British to give up and go. They call the earlier strategy as mendicancy, or which is means that begging for. The old leaders called moderate nationalists wanted continue on a more gradual pace of movement and felt that the masses were as yet not ready for a full-scale movement for freedom and self-rule. The difference between the two sections of leaders and eventually lead to a split of the Congress in 1907 Surat session into two. The extremist leaders like Tilak were forced to leave the Congress. Soon, the government came down heavily upon the extremists and the activities of the Swaraj movement. Most of the leaders like Tilak were imprisoned and exiled. Gradually, the movement petered out. Many young Swarajists felt let down by these developments and began to turn to terrorist attacks on unpopular British officials, and they hoped to restrain the repression and oppression unleashed by British in this way. Even though they did not succeeded and were caught and hanged or imprisoned, they kept alive the spirit of the nationalism and the idea of making the supreme sacrifice for it. Then, coming to the Home Rule movement, the national movement revived again in 1915 when the Tilak came back from his exile and joined hands with the Anbisant to launch the movement for Home Rule. See the picture of Anbisant and next. The First World War broke out in the year 1914 with Britain, France, Russia on one side and Germany, and it is allies on the other side. It lasted for nearly 5 years till Germany was finally defeated. This caused the unprecedented human suffering and destruction. As the war ended, an era of revolution started in Europe. A socialist revolution took place in Russia, in which peasant workers and soldiers led by the communists deposited the emperor and abolished the landlordism and private ownership of land and factories. They also advocated equality among the nations and freedom for all nations subjugated by colonial powers. In India, the war brought great suffering from the common people as British tried to raise funds and resources for the war by raising the taxes and exporting the food and other necessities to the armies. This increased the discontent among the people against the British rule. As the news of the Russian Revolution spread, it too inspired the people that unjust rulers can be got rid of and a society can be built with inequality and justice for all. And everyone expected that British will accept the just demands for the democratic rule in India and bring into the constitutional reforms. However, this was not to be, and the British introduced the harsher laws. So it was under these conditions when the discontent of the people was increasing, the British were getting more repressive that Mahatma Gandhi came back from the South Africa and joined the Indian freedom movement. Krishna Patrika was started in Machilipatnam during the year 1900. Mutnuri Krishna Rao was one of the founders of the paper and from 1902 was associated with it as sub-editor. In the year 1907, he became its editor and continued to serve the general till he died in the year 1945. The Krishna Patrika carried out on publicity for all these phases of India's struggle for freedom, like the Vande Mataram movement, Home Rule movement, and non-cooperation movement, and civil disobedience movement, and Quit India movement. The Krishna Patrika influenced not only the urban educated elite but also the rural masses. Both the magazine and its editor quoted the wrath of the British rules several times. So finally, coming to the assignment, students take down the three questions as assignment and do at your home, and then later you can submit. First question is, why was it is important to understand the economic impact of the British rule in India? And second one is, what do you understand by Swadeshi and what were the major areas of its impact? Third one is, how did different parts of the country and people respond to division of Bengal? These three questions are very important from your examination point of view. And one more task I'm going to give you. First one is, locate the following in the India map: Calcutta, Madras, Bombay, and Lucknow. And locate the following in the old map: Britain, France, Russia, and Germany. And one more project I will give you. Collect all the photos of national leaders who participated in freedom struggle and prepare an album and make a report on it and present in the class. I hope all of you will do that work. And dear students, I hope you can understand this session. Thank you all.